Hello, in this video we are talking about difference between a layover and detention. This question came up yesterday on my YouTube channel and I wanted to make a short video about that because it gives me new ideas about the content and maybe I can clarify some things for you. So brokers will give you some money or they will give it to the owner operator actually, and this money is not enough in my opinion, but it's better than nothing. And this usually happens when there is something wrong with the load. So as far as the detention goes, that means that the truck has been held at the shipper or at the receiver for more than a certain amount of time. Usually brokers will use 2 hours as normal loading and unloading time, and after that they will pay the driver some money. Normal loading times in their opinion is 2 hours, and that only works in shippers and receivers favor and also in the broker's favor, because usually most loads are loaded before that time frame. So they are usually loaded in 30 minutes or an hour, hour and a half, and it rarely takes shippers and receivers more than 2 hours to load and unload trucks. So this is meant to be some kind of protection for the driver or the trucking companies, where they are sure to be compensated for their time, because trucking companies make their money when the truck is driving, not when the truck is sitting. And holding a truck detained like that prevents the trucking company and the driver to make money, because usually truck drivers are also paid by the mile, not by the hour. And this has been a debate for a long time whether that's enough or not, and brokers have their own logic about that, and trucking companies have different logic. And me having a trucking company and dispatching company, of course I think this is not enough, because it shouldn't take a shipper more than 2 hours to load. It's just not fair to the driver to have them sit there and hold the truck, but it is what it is. So broker will pay detention, and usually they will use their customer's money. So the customer has to pay to the broker first, and then the broker will pay you anything after 2 hours. So they will not include those first 2 hours in that calculation. So for example, if the broker's policy is that they pay after 2 hours the detention, and the truck has been at the pickup for 4 hours, the broker will not pay you the first 2 hours. They only pay whatever comes after those 2 hours. So in this case, the truck driver will be paid only for 2 hours. And they have different policies. Usually it's anywhere between like $25 and $50 per hour. Sometimes it can be more, but $50 per hour, in my opinion, is really a minimum. This is not something that you pay hourly to a worker. For example, if you have a worker that works somewhere in a factory or in any kind of job and they paid by the hour, that's different. But in this case, you're paying for the equipment. This equipment is very expensive. This equipment is being turned on, it's running, and this equipment is using fuel. And then on top of that, you have the driver that's waiting there and losing precious time, and you have the trucking company, if this is a company driver, that's losing time and money by the truck not running. So $50 per hour, in my opinion, is really the bare minimum, but it's what it is. So in this example that I just gave you, the trucking company would get $100 for 4 hours of sitting there, and it's just something. It's really not that much. Sometimes brokers will have different policies. Sometimes they will pay after 3 or 4 hours of sitting, and they do this on purpose because they, from their experience, know that this certain shipper or a receiver tends to load longer. It takes them longer to load, and then they will adjust their policies and they will say, hey, well, we only pay after 3 hours for this shipper. And when you see that on the rate confirmation, and if they tell you that, then it's a big red flag. That means that the driver is probably going to stay there for a long time. So that's what detention is. And usually they have a limit on that detention as well. So if the driver is stranded there for like 10 or 20 hours, they're not going to pay you for 20 hours times 50, $1,000. There will be a limit, and they will say something like, we will pay $50 per hour up to $250 maximum. And then they will use that layover policy, and then they will give you the layover money. So what's the layover money? Layover money is, for example, if a truck driver gets to a pickup or a delivery and something is off with the appointment time. The appointment time should have been 10 a.m. this morning, but when the driver gets to delivery, they say, well, your appointment time is for tomorrow at 10 a.m. Now the driver has all the product in the back of the trailer. They can't do anything with it. They can't take it anywhere else. They're forced to stay there and wait until the next day to unload. And then the broker will say, well, our policy is $250 for a layover. We will give you $250 to wait till tomorrow and unload tomorrow. So if you divide it by 24, that's $10-12 per hour, and that's their way of getting out of it. The layover should be way more, but the common practice is somewhere around $200-250, sometimes a little bit more. But this is it. And then on top of this, I will throw in another one, truck order not used. That's when the driver gets to a pickup and they tell the driver, well, this load has been canceled or the load is not ready. We are not going to load you with anything. And then the broker will say, hey, well, we'll give you a truck order not used, or TONU. And that's usually around $150. Sometimes they can give you less, sometimes they can give you more, but the common practice is $150, no matter how long your driver drove to the pickup, even if it's like 2 miles from the previous delivery or 200 miles. The broker will give you $150 truck order not used, and usually the driver has to get to the pickup in order to get it. Usually if the driver is like halfway to the pickup and the broker calls you and tells you, hey, this load has been canceled, they're not gonna give you that truck order not used. Or even when you book a load and driver is ready to leave to go to that pickup, then the driver still hasn't left, they will tell you, hey, the load is canceled, but you're not gonna get the truck order not used because the driver hasn't actually arrived at that pickup. My name is Enis. This is Never Stop Trucking. Check out our Ready to Dispatch course. If you want us to dispatch you, go to 3blogistics.me. Come back for more. I'll see you guys around.